Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here today, and it's my honor to welcome you to the very first ever GEM Summit. Today is going to be incredible. I'm definitely looking forward to not only hearing from the great speakers scheduled to present, but also having the chance to network with people from our industry. I can't wait. We're a social bunch of people in the recruiting industry, and I can only imagine the impact you all are personally feeling from having fewer face-to-face moments this year. I know I've been feeling it. So take a look at the chat now and say hello to each other. I welcome and encourage each of you to take advantage of this event platform to connect with new people. Don't be shy. Use the platform's features to schedule time with one another and talk with each other in the chat now and throughout the day. Today is an opportunity to connect, to share, and to be inspired by each other, and to discuss the future of talent acquisition teams. We're all here today because we share a vision for the future of talent acquisition, a more modern way to recruit. Each and every one of us is building incredible companies, transformative companies that are changing the world. And to succeed in our missions, hiring great people is priority number one. Whether we're a recruiter or a sourcer, a hiring manager, recruiting operations, or managing talent acquisition teams, our job is growing in importance every day, and our job is changing. Hiring great talent no longer means waiting for candidates to apply. Our job is to go out there and find the right match for our company. People with the right skills, the right motivations, and people that align with our mission. And that right match is rarely looking. So once we've found them, we need to nurture them and get them excited about our mission. A big part of this is sourcing and that initial reach out, but it's many other things too. We're hosting recruiting events. We're recruiting on campus and at conferences. We're nurturing referrals, and we're investing in our talent brand and marketing. We're all here today because we believe in this modern approach to recruiting, this more proactive approach, and it's why we started GEM. Many of you here are already GEM customers. It's so great to see you all, and I can't wait to catch up throughout the day. Thank you for your continued support. Some of you are newer to GEM and are just beginning to learn about GEM and how we partner with some of the most incredible recruiting teams out there. Whoever you are, make sure you catch my co-founder, Nick Bushak. Him and Sarah, our head of product, are giving a keynote later today where they'll cover many of the exciting product launches we had in 2020 and what GEM has in store for 2021. But today's summit is much bigger than GEM. Whether you're a customer or a partner or a fellow talent acquisition professional from the industry, today is about you. We came here together to network and to share ideas and best practices, and we'll hear from some amazing speakers and industry experts throughout the day about the future of talent acquisition and navigating 2020. 2020 has been quite the year, hasn't it? It's changed the future in a lot of ways. For example, I never thought I'd be speaking at conferences from my own living room or attending industry events from my kitchen table over there. But this is now somewhat normal. It's amazing to see how quickly circumstances can change, but also how quickly we all adapt, both in our personal lives and also in the industry. Clearly, 2020 is not what any of us would have imagined when we celebrated the new year last year. Still, there have been so many successes and real progress made amidst the challenges of 2020, and a lot of reason to be hopeful about what is yet to come. Let me tell you about what has inspired me over the past few months. Earlier this year, I saw just how creative and empathetic our industry can be. Just because hiring slowed down didn't mean recruiting teams had to. It was cool to see recruiting teams at so many companies like Visco and Gladly double down on important initiatives like diversity, equity, and inclusion. And also to see so many recruiting teams step up and support their company's transition to remote. And to see many recruiting teams take this time to build a stronger foundation for things like their talent brand. And it was inspiring to see larger organizations like Dropbox with hundreds of recruiters adapt at lightning speed. When the pandemic hit earlier this year, Dropbox's head of recruiting, Mike Moriarty, knew that hiring would slow down and that this could also mean layoffs. For the past few years, Mike and his recruiting ops team had been working with data, both internally to operationalize their organization, but also externally to advocate for the right decisions with their broader leadership team. And now Mike had an idea. He had the data to show that layoffs might not be the best business decision, and he thought he could prove it. So Mike and his team got to work combing through all of their data, thinking about how people on the team could be repurposed into other roles across the organization, and position the company and the recruiting team to be ready when hiring freezes lifted and the company was ready to grow again. Armed with data, he put together his proposal. The leadership team was so impressed and excited to see such a thorough data-driven plan. In fact, other departments followed suit and put together similar proposals based on the work that Mike and the team did. The outcome was that Dropbox was able to avoid layoffs altogether, including their team of more than 100 recruiters, but also across the many other departments that benefited from the recruiting team's plan. And it's proving to be a really great decision for them. Dropbox is hiring again, and it has a world-class team firing on all cylinders. They're so much stronger for it, and the timing couldn't be better. Because I was talking to Mike just a few weeks ago, and they're now tasked with their next big challenge, which is to reinvent their entire talent acquisition team to support Dropbox's transition to becoming a virtual first company. A transformation that they're equipped to tackle because of the team they have in place today. And all of this was possible because talent leadership and recruiting operations were able to use data to put together an out-of-the-box plan. Another thing that's inspired me this year is how I've seen talent acquisition teams consider diversity, equity, and inclusion more than ever before, and work hard to put plans and strategies in place to hire diverse teams, but also contribute to creating organizations that are thoughtful about equity and inclusion. It's not new for hiring teams to be thinking about DEI in the workplace, but the impact that the Black Lives Matter movement has had in 2020 brought DEI to the forefront of hiring teams in a bigger way than ever before. And it's been amazing to watch years of progress take place in a matter of months. And many of these strategic changes in how your organizations are approaching hiring and building diverse teams has fallen to you all, talent acquisition teams. So thank you for this. You're making us proud. I've also enjoyed watching the development of technology that enables DEI to take bigger steps. Many of you are already using or investigating platforms that can help with DEI. And you can learn more about some of these technologies by visiting our sponsor booths later today on the virtual expo floor. A lot of them have really innovated in this space. Another area that our industry has made great progress on this year is data and analytics, especially when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. After all, we can't improve what we can't measure. And without clear goals, it's impossible to hold ourselves accountable to progress or discover insights that can remove inequities and bias from our hiring process. Data and analytics is an area that's close to my heart. The very first team I built from scratch was an analytics and data science team. There are so many amazing stories out there that highlight the importance that data and insights can drive. I'd love to tell you a few of those now. They're super fun, and it's a great way to see how data is more than just numbers. Data enables stories. One of my favorite examples is UPS, the delivery business that we've all relied on so much this year. Did you know that UPS has entire teams making sure that they're running in the most efficient way possible? UPS is known for conducting all sorts of time studies to understand how many steps a driver needs to make in their unique route and how long each step should take. They are known for hiring people that ride along in delivery trucks during the busy season so that they can use the carpool lanes. Efficiency is key to their success, and data and analytics insights are the keys to unlocking that efficiency. In the 1970s, a team at UPS combined their own data set with the NHTSA data to develop a theory that if drivers limited left-hand turns wherever possible, they'd be more efficient. At first, they faced resistance from many drivers. Drivers thought that by limiting the types of turns they could make, that they would add time to their routes. So UPS measured, they tracked, and they analyzed route data, and they proved in the field that by designing routes that only included right-hand turns, drivers were able to travel fewer miles, use less fuel, and save time. In hindsight, this makes a little bit of sense. left-turning traffic typically has to go against the flow of incoming vehicles, which is less efficient than turning right. By eliminating left-hand turns wherever possible, UPS saves 10 million gallons of fuel annually and reduces their CO2 emissions by 100,000 metric tons each year. An incredible insight and transformation made possible by data. Another fun example that shows the value of data and measurement comes from GEM's very own marketing team. Our team does a lot of A/B testing to figure out which messages resonate, which content is most valuable, and also what day of the week and time of day is best for sending messages. In fact, marketing tracked and measured to see what time of day was best to send your invitation to this event. Guess what? You all are more likely to RSVP for an event invitation that was sent at 10:30 a.m. than you are at 10:30 a.m. I love this stuff. It's so cool. So it's no surprise that the recruiting industry is also becoming more data-driven. I was talking to Gartner just last week, and 80% of the data about an employee is collected before they are hired. This is a huge wealth of data. In fact, we're seeing a lot of those same techniques that sales and marketing teams use to measure their funnels applied to every step of the recruiting funnel. Whether that's measuring send times and open rates for when we message candidates, just like our marketing team, or debugging conversion rates and time to fill metrics in the same way that our sales teams are always trying to shorten their sales cycles, or starting to set more data-driven goals. And most of the VPs and chief people officers that I've talked to over the past few weeks as part of our customer council are right in the middle of leveraging data to capacity plan for next year so that they can advocate for the budget and headcount they need to hit the company's hiring targets, in the same way that sales leaders work backwards from their revenue targets. A few of them are even looking into predictive forecasting to monitor whether they're on track to hit those targets so that they can stay nimble and adjust resources in real time, just like sales forecasts. As recruiting teams, data is helping us make smarter decisions, and it's arming us with the insights we need to be strategic partners to the rest of our company. Many of us are just starting to scratch the surface here. If you and your team feel like you could be leveraging data and analytics in a bigger way, I really encourage you to focus today on learning how other great teams are finding success with a data-driven approach. The place where I've seen the most data-driven progress is with DEI. Hundreds of GEM customers are now measuring and tracking their diversity efforts across their hiring funnel. And Twilio is an incredible example of this. Twilio is one of the first companies to set really aggressive DEI goals and publish both their goals and progress towards goal for all the world to see. One of their goals is to have 50% of their global workforce identify as female. Another goal of theirs is to have 30% of their US workforce come from underrepresented populations. Really remarkable and inspiring goals. These are big goals. Where do they start? You guessed it, they started with data. And luckily, they had Joelle Torres on their team who stepped up in a really big way. Joelle had been doing sourcing and recruiting for a long time and had always used a data-driven approach, even before most of us were measuring our open rates and click rates. And so he dove in. The first thing he did is he used data to see how much time the sourcing team was spending finding and nurturing female-identified talent and talent from underrepresented groups. Armed with this data as benchmarks, Joelle helped set top-of-funnel goals for the sourcing and recruiting teams to make sure they were holding themselves accountable to building a diverse pipeline of talent. As the team sourced and built a more diverse pipeline, Joelle used data to uncover places in the funnel that had the opportunity to be more equitable. For example, he could see where female-identified talent was moving through the pipeline at lower rates, which enabled him to ask the right questions to figure out why. Was unconscious bias at play? Was candidate experience an issue? Could the interview team and recruiters develop better interview loops for all candidates that would lead to a more equitable process? Armed with the data, Joelle and his team were able to find insights to help them arrive at these answers. After tracking all of this data for a while, Joel and his team were able to create automated reports to make sure they were making the right resourcing decisions quarter to quarter to support the company's goals. And they were even able to adjust in real time to shift resources to build diverse pipelines in parts of the business that needed the most help. Joel did such a great job in building out the sourcing team and using data to make progress towards Twilio's DEI goals that the C-suite asked him to start reporting regularly to them on DEI. And this work has had such an impact that he was recently promoted to lead the entire sourcing team for the Americas. Congrats, Joel, and to the entire Twilio team. You're all an inspiration to us. It makes sense why Twilio and so many organizations are looking towards data to improve DEI. After all, you can't improve what you can't measure. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't do a quick plug for Gem here. We've invested a ton into our new diversity analytics features, and they allow you to track and understand your entire hiring funnel by gender and race ethnicity. I'm proud of our team for their innovation in this space, and I'm humbled by our hundreds of customers who have helped shape how we think about DEI and bring this to market. I invite you all to learn more about this today during the expo breaks, or you can attend the You Asked, Gem Answered session on diversity analytics for a deeper look into Gem and what it has to offer to help measure and improve DEI efforts. Many of you said you wanted to learn more about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I also encourage you to attend the breakout sessions coming later today on these topics. For example, you can hear how Maisha Cannon from Bartel talk about finding and engaging with underrepresented talent. Or you can hear from Becky Moore from SurveyMonkey, who'll be showing us how she and her team operationalized their diversity sourcing strategy. When you registered for this event, we asked you, what is something you want to learn? And here's what you said. These are the challenges that our industry has in front of us to solve now and into the future. And these are the topics that we'll be discussing and covering for the rest of the day. We'll learn how better automation will save us time, allowing us to focus on the strategic parts of our jobs. And we'll learn how data-driven recruiting will enable us to make smarter decisions and elevate talent acquisition within our organizations. We'll learn about strategies to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion, both because it's the right thing to do and because it makes business sense. And of course, we'll learn about navigating the challenges of 2020, including how we can all hire and work better together in this new remote world. With that, let's get started. We've got a very inspirational first session for you, a fireside chat with Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, and our very own Pratap Dendi, Gem's Chief Operating Officer. I was catching up with Reid and Pratap on some of the topics they'll be discussing, and it's going to be great. I'm so excited for the first ever Gem Summit, and I'm honored that you chose to be here today with us. Thank you for joining us as we explore the future of talent acquisition.